Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now in today's video I have some good news, some bad news, and some other bad news. But the good news is I've been going to the range a lot. I've been putting a lot of rounds downrange, really enjoying my time, and well, with that, shooting my Ruger 10/22 amongst other firearms. But the bad news, well, it means all my firearms at this point are dirty. Like literally every one I have is dirty. I need to clean them all, and well, I need to clean my Ruger 10/22. And the other bad news, well, I'm starting to suffer some damage. I have damage on my Ruger 10/22. Most specifically, my charging handle is broken. Now, at an initial glimpse, it seems to function fine, which for the most part it does. The problem is when I take this apart to maintain it, at that point things kind of fall apart. I have to put them back together a little bit half-assed, and that is definitely a problem. But today we're going to fix some of that, because here in my hands, well, I have this Volquartsen charging handle. This at this point is a direct replacement for the one that I have inside, so we're going to do some basic firearms maintenance today. And so what we're going to do, I'm going to completely take this apart. I'm going to get into some cleaning, fully disassemble and clean everything, which if you've watched any of my prior videos, I do a full cleaning. Now, I do have to say, I've learned a lot of tips and tricks ever since then, and at this point, I know a lot more about cleaning this than I did probably when I shot that video, and I also know exactly what I need to do to repair this. And so when we get back, a little bit of a detailed video as to how I'm going to approach this. But with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. And now here in my hands, my Ruger 10/22. Now at this point, I've probably put around 1,000 rounds downrange through this particular rifle. 1,000 rounds is not a lot, and unfortunately, it's enough that it's caused damage to my charging handle. Now, what exactly do I mean? Well, you'll see once I start to take this apart that when you get it apart, this charging handle has a spring that's attached to it. And at the end of the spring, it basically has a couple of little ears that keep it on the shaft. Those ears have worn down to the point where now the actual spring and handle itself come off of the shaft. And that's a problem for a number of reasons, most specifically during reassembly. It makes things really, really difficult. So at this point, I'm going to take this whole thing apart. I'm going to show you the damage that I found. I'm going to clean everything perfectly. And then I'm actually going to get this reinstalled back into the original factory stock. Right now I am running it in an alternate stock. I have a number of different stocks, which is the beauty of the 10/22, but at this point I'm going to get it put back into the factory stock. So with that, let's flip the camera around and I'll get into it. And so as I get into this, everything pretty straightforward. Now, almost everything that you see here has been covered in a prior video. Everything from the scope to the bipod to the actual stock and some of the little things that I've done here and there and otherwise. This rifle has been absolutely fun. I do have to say I love it. It's been a joy to own. It's been a joy to shoot. I've had the ability to shoot it myself. I've had the ability to shoot it with my wife and my kids. And there are a few things that I'm starting to wonder. I'm wondering a little bit about accuracy. I'm going to start to dabble into what's going on in the actual bore itself. I'm starting to wonder about some of the mechanics inside. So a little bit of maintenance can absolutely go a long way. And so again, just to remind you, if you have any specific questions on any particular one of these products, I have videos that cover them all in detail. Assembly, installation, general thoughts, some field use, and all of that. So plenty of information on my prior videos. But for example, some of the things that I'm starting to wonder about, just in terms of the overall condition and accuracy, well, at this point, I'm wondering about accuracy in my barrel. And the reason why I question it is because, for example, I know that I am specifically using non-jacketed lead bullets, which can deposit lead in your barrel. And I have never, I've cleaned this plenty of times. I've cleaned it, I'd say probably, 4 or 5 times. Now this is probably my 5th. I bet you I've cleaned this 4 times, like every, 200 rounds. So now I'm, coming up on 1,000 rounds, and really every couple hundred rounds I've cleaned this. And at this point, it makes me wonder, like, am I getting the lead out of this, or is there lead depositing? And I do have reason to question the overall accuracy. So even though, for the most part, I've been doing pretty good in terms of hitting my target, I still have reason to question it. So that's something in the future I will definitely be investigating. And so at this point, again, fairly straightforward in terms of what you need to do to get everything disassembled. Now, at this point, this is the part where you're starting to see the actual lever. So inside here, you'll notice the rod. Okay, so the rod on the inside, then on the back side, that is the spring. Now, I got to get this bolt out of the way. So as long as I punch out this pin, and you'll notice at this point, my pin is pretty easy to come out, but it's still a little bit stiff because this is Cerakoted. Once you get the pin out of the way, you can pull the bolt, get the bolt back and out of the way. So again, the bolt coming out here, which everything kind of drops out fairly easy at this point. Now, this is the part worth paying attention to. So if I'm not careful, and I'm going to try to get this out without it falling apart, but we'll see what happens. First off, you'll notice that everything's kind of jammed in here funny, and that's because my actual handle wants to come off the end of the rod because the ears are broken. But there we go. So you'll see what I'm talking about, and this already fell apart. So in essence, what you have is the handle itself, which is all supposed to be integral and attached to this. Then on top of that, so let me get this back into place, which this is what it typically looks like. So you have the rod on the inside, then you have the spring. So this is under tension. Actually, it's pushing out right now. And then you have the handle. And on the end, there are these little ears that at this point on mine have broken off. So if I kind of compress that, there are supposed to be ears on the end of this, which prevent the actual handle from flying off the end. But unfortunately for me, this thing is busted and it pops off pretty easily. Now, you can see that makes this very difficult because A, this is not supposed to do that, and B, to get this all put back together, now it's a wicked pain in the neck to hold everything together, try to keep it all squared up and into place. So I need to replace this broken handle, and I'm opting to use the Volquartsen, which as you take a look here, well, build it better. They better have built this betterer because I need betterer than what was in there. And this is a direct replacement. So in essence, this completely replaces the original handle. Now, as we get this out, it's just a little bit different in design, pretty straightforward for the most part. And as I take a look at it here, you'll notice that on the end, it's a little bit beefier, but I still wonder over time if this too will become a problem because it looks like, in my opinion, it just might. But we're going to go with it for now. And as you take a look on the inside here, everything just dirty and dingy and grimy. So I'm going to clean everything to the best of my ability, get everything lubricated back into place, and we'll talk about the new handle when I get everything prepared. Okay, so now I have everything cleaned up, and it's time to get this Volquartsen extended bolt handle into place. So let's just take a quick minute and look at this. And so basically this is an exact replacement, just drops into place. Volquartsen saying that this has the exact same shape and design as the bolt handle featured on their fully machined bolts. So I guess they have other additional, parts and components that you could potentially buy. In this particular case, only the handle. But the handle itself is about 1/4 of an inch longer than the original factory handle. So if we take a look here and kind of line it up, yeah, I'd say that's seemingly about true. So it looks to be, like they say, about 1/4 of an inch longer. So that will help get on it with ease. They're saying that the recoil rod is hardened and it is coated with a proprietary finish. And the finish is not only extremely hard, but it also creates kind of like a lubricating feature to create smooth operating guide rods. So that is definitely something that I kind of struggled with the original. It's dark. You can see it's kind of like a black finish underneath, and it does get gritty over time. And I don't know, I'm hoping that this is going to be a little bit better, but only time will tell. And they're saying that the reduced friction will aid in overall improvement feeding and ejecting. So hopefully that's the case. The spring has been cryogenically treated to withstand years of use. And well, I'm hoping that's the case. So anyway, at this point, getting everything back and installed. So as you take a look here, you can see the actual receiver. This should fit nice and easy into place, basically setting this through the little sort of dimple on the end of the rod, just setting into place, and that fits down nicely. Getting my actual bolt here, dropping down, that's simple. And what's usually the hardest part is getting the charging handle back underneath the bolt. So let's see how this goes. This is sliding so far very easily, which is nice. And as long as I'm able to feed this back underneath the bolt, it should grab. And actually, without too much finagling, that went just fine. And I can tell you, easier than the factory handle. So that already is a good thing. Simply reinstalling my pins, installing the trigger assembly, and now at this point I can get everything mounted back inside my factory stock, which is extremely simple and only takes a mere matter of minutes. So at this point, I mean, I'm getting really close. Couple last details, just need to wipe everything down. But here, ooh, that feels nice. And I can tell you, it definitely feels much, much smoother, way smoother, probably for a couple of reasons. I mean, nice, fresh, clean rifle, but also I can tell you that that rod is nice and smooth. I definitely had a problem with the factory handle, and at this point, a nice little upgrade. I mean, again, basically using an exact replacement, but at the same time feeling very good, doing a nice job. A little bit chamfered here, you can see as you take a look at the relief, just a little bit chamfered to buy space on the receiver. That's really nice, in the ejection port, but man, that's awesome. So looking really, really good, and I'm glad to actually have this nice and light in the original factory stock. So this is cool. And so again, a real quick video today, just talking about some of the issues that I've had with my 1022 after about 1,000 rounds, getting into a little bit of maintenance. I mean, the reality is things can and will break. Things will wear out, and you need to stay on top of it. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. And if you enjoyed this, do me a favor, take a look at my Outer Limitless channel, which is more on my primary gear. On that channel, I cover everything from hiking, camping, and backpacking excursions, all the gear that goes with it. So from sleep systems, shelter systems, knives, axes, backpacks, flashlights, you name it. That's my Outer Limitless YouTube channel. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.